Hey, how you doing? This is J. Michael Niotta, author of The Los Angeles Sugar Ring. And tonight I'd like to read a little bit from my new book, The Fight Abroad and the Fear Back Home, Tie-ins of the California Coast during World War II. I had the pleasure of working with two gentlemen in their 90s who served during World War II on this book. And it was a great privilege to know that each of them got to hold this book in their hand and read about their own stories. This passage is called Finding Out. I was working on a model airplane. It was Sunday. That's when I heard about Pearl Harbor. I remember very well. Richard Williams, Dick, was just 16, the oldest of 8 and the only boy in a fatherless family residing in a small Nebraskan town. Although television would not be around for another decade, this did not keep word from catching a whirlwind. Like a shotgun's blast, news of the dreadful occurrence fanned out, hitting everyone. Newspapers and radio announcements flooded reports over and over. The world seemed to know almost instantly. America had just been attacked, and the Japanese were responsible. I remember going to school the next day and the teacher saying, "Oh, this is nothing. What can a little island do to a great nation like ours?" Very naive. Mocking his teacher's words, Dick mouthed, "Oh, what can these folks do? Little island like that." The other individual I worked with on the project was my great-uncle Anthony Amador, and he just got out of the hospital. He had a broken hip and tested positive for COVID-19. So, strong man, and I definitely think he's going to pull through it. This passage is called Kamikaze. Roughly translated, the word kamikaze means big wind or the divine tempest. But for the Allied forces during World War II, it wore another definition: danger and death. They used to train these guys, these kamikazes. They filled the thing up with bombs and gas, put them in the airplane, and they'd take off. Speaking from experience, Tony added, and the mission was to dive bomb right into the ship. Placing himself back onto the deck of the Missy to relive these events, Tony mouthed bleakly. They knew they weren't coming back. One attack in particular always stuck with him. We just got secured from general quarters, and then we got something again. The kamikaze planes. They called air defense. This time, the one-man fighters flew so close that Tony caught a glimpse of one of the pilots. A moment later, the burnt remains of the young kamikaze littered the ship's deck. Despite popular belief, Colonel Young clarified that the main role of this specific type of attack was actually conventional bombing. Resorting to dive bombing, an outright act of suicide, became an option only if the pilot felt he couldn't make it out safely. Mass suicide by men as hard to replace as flyers is, of course, desperate warfare. The high cost of planes and the investment in training a pilot is something that no Air Force can really afford. Speaking of his own experiences with these Japanese planes, though, Young exclaimed that even though this was the case, the Japanese did it anyway. Coldly, deliberately, and ruthlessly. Thanks. I'm J. Michael Niotta.